We know what we should do, but you ever feel like you just don't want to? You know it's the right thing to do, and it'll get you where you want to go with your goals, but you just don't feel like it. Today, Kathy and her husband, John Rotz, talk about what to do when you hit that wall and how to get yourself back on track.
Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us again for Thinking Differently, not only with Kathy Rotz, but I've got my handsome husband, John, with me today.
Hello, everyone.
Betty, we are answering your question, and it's not an easy question, so I brought in the smart one today.
That's not true.
You know what does make you smart is the collaboration. And when we get talking together, it just increases our IQ, I think.
There is a synergy, but I think that probably goes with a lot of married couples. It's just we're better together. You guys, you and your spouse, better together.
So true, so true. So thank you, Betty, for messaging me a really good question. I'm going to read it from my phone right now because I don't want to get the question wrong. So John, here we go. Today, Betty's question is, how do I get past, quotes, I don't want to? Oh, Betty.
Wow.
Oh, everybody.
Yeah, see, that's the first place we should start is, Betty, you're not on an island and you're not by yourself, right? I think we all endure that question and we sit there and we marinate on it daily.
Yeah.
Daily.
So John and I kind of talked about this a little bit ago on our walk, and I love your answer. How do you answer that? How do we get past, I don't want to?
You don't. You
really
can't.
Don't.
I mean, it's a constant struggle. That is such a good question, and thank you, Betty, again for being transparent and vulnerable, asking that question, because we all ask that of ourselves, the same question.
Now, what that question really is asking, or what I hear it saying, is an emotion. And biologically, when you look at emotional intelligence and you look at biologically in our brain, there is a section of our brain that is totally consumed with emotions, and that's the limbic section. And that's the first section of our brain that any signal will go through. So we're always going to feel like, I don't want to, because we're emotional beings. It's not until that signal gets all the way to the frontal lobe of our mind that we put logic and facts and rationale to it. So we are all going to face this.
And not only are we emotional beings, but we're lazy beings.
By nature.
By nature.
We want to take the easiest route.
The path of least resistance. That's how we are designed, because thinking is hard and it requires energy.
Living is hard. Doing is hard. I mean, getting up in the morning and brushing my teeth, I don't want to.
Now, Betty, while there is no great answer to that question, I mean, maybe a great answer is, oh yeah, this is the 5 steps to do it. Can't do it, but we can start to give us some more tools in our tool belt that we can hopefully stay out in front of this question, is I don't want to, right? But yeah, we are lazy. But okay, so let's find solutions. Let's talk about some possibilities.
Okay, so first of all, in the show notes, we are going to tag some previous podcast episodes where I did talk a lot about emotional intelligence, because there is a lot to this. That the easy definition of emotional intelligence is doing the things that we don't want to do, even when we don't want to do them. That's emotional intelligence. But there's 4 skills within emotional intelligence. First, we need to be aware, and then we can manage. So we need to be aware of ourselves so we can manage ourselves, and we need to be aware of social situations so that we can manage social situations. That's those management tools that you were just talking about. I think the fact that this question is even asked is awareness. So boom, we're already off to step 1. What is a management tool?
I think when we put things in the right perspective, knowing that probably daily we are going to be facing things that we don't want to face. And you know, there's scripture to go along with what you're even saying is do that which you know is right and abstain from the very appearance of evil. You know, I think what we need to do is realize that, one, it's not a finish line we're ever going to cross, that every day we have to tackle this. But when we're in our areas of passion and purpose, That makes doing the hard stuff a little bit easier. But the reality is we're not always going to be living in our purpose and passion, right? So, Betty, to your point in this question, actually took me back to my word of the year. It's actually 2 words, and that is to be better. Be better, because I struggle with this. And this is me being transparent in front of you. I struggle with this one, and I always, hundreds of times a day, I remind myself, I want to do this, but I know I shouldn't do this. Be better. Be better. Everyone knows inside what the right thing is to do. Sometimes we get lazy and we say, I don't know what to do. Yeah, you do. You always know what the right thing is. It's just whether or not you want to do it. So you keep things into perspective. We do which we know is right.
Now, you mentioned something about when we're in our passion and how much more motivating it might be for us to do it. But I think there's something also, there's like this trigger in our mind when it really does become a habit. And I'll go back to a podcast episode I just did a few weeks ago, all about flossing my teeth. For 48 years, I never worried about flossing my teeth. I just could have cared less. I just didn't want to. And then I got braces, and the dentist said something like, if you don't floss before you put these Invisalign braces back in, you're going to get cavities. And the same thing just happened to our son. He has to go to the dentist every 3 months because he's got something happening. And the dentist said, wow, one of these cavities is longer than it is deeper. And by you brushing and flossing every day, it's actually kind of getting better. He's motivated now. He goes to bed, and if his gums don't feel like they've been flossed, he gets back up, and he just has a motivation. And I know I have a habit that's been created and will continue. So there is something in our brain that clicks. Why? When? How do we get there?
It's our, what we call our mind speak, right? It's what we're saying to ourselves. That's so incredibly important. There's a statement that says, when your why is strong enough, the how doesn't matter.
Wow, that's so good.
I mean, if my why is to hike Everest, the how, I'll figure a way out. I'll figure it out. And I think it's important also to manage your calendar. I think you're a walking example, and I don't want to talk her up too much on camera.
I don't know where you're going with this.
She operates truly out of, when she says change your habits or have good habits, she really does have great habits. And I'm convicted by it because I'll go and I'll start work. She'll come up to the loft and she'll read her Bible every day. She reads her Bible. I don't every day, but every day. She gets her breakfast. She works out. She reads her Bible. We pray together. We do all those things. It's automatic because it's just part of our calendar day.
But can I interrupt here? It took me a long time to figure out that system, but it creates the energy in me for the day. And it helps me to be strong and strong-minded. So you can't change my mind anymore. I'm convinced, because I do it, that works for me. So I guess that's my why.
I think another thing, Betty, that we need to consider is having a made-up mind. And I've said this 3 times: doing what you know is right, but don't spend more energy once you have a decision. And I'm guilty of this. I'm very guilty of it. Hey, when we're as a family, when we all get together, man, this was so much fun. We need to do this in the summer. We need to do this in the winter. But when that time comes, I'm always going to Kathy do we really want to go? I'm spending more energy rehashing a decision that I already made. And I'm wasting energy. I've already decided what I want to do.
I think of when I'm working and emails come in and I know what it says and I don't want to deal with it. I spend more time sitting and just staring at my inbox, deciding if I really want to take on this 20-second task than actually doing the task. So, it's not just social life, it's also work life. You're absolutely right on target.
Once you decide, do it. I mean, I shouldn't say do it because you might not be the time to do it, but don't rethink things. Here's another one to keep things in perspective. That's I guess my word is perspective. Like making the bed. I don't want to make the bed. I'm getting dressed. I'm late for work. I got to get to work. until I made the bed and timed myself, you know how long it takes to make a bed? Now, we don't throw covers everywhere, but really it's just throw the covers back, you know, tuck them in a little bit. It only takes like 20, 30 seconds to make our bed.
That's so good. I love that. You timed yourself. That's your convincing part. I've got 20 seconds.
Hey, 6 minutes when you change the sheets and you put everything on. About 6 minutes.
That's
so now when I
awesome.
walk through the bedroom and I look at that messy bed, I don't have to rethink that, hey, I've got 20 seconds. And I know she really likes a nice bed. So I don't rethink that.
That's good.
There's days, Betty, I don't wanna. But it's 20 seconds.
You know, you mentioned something earlier about managing your calendar, and I think about my daily calendar. For example, flossing my teeth. You know, when like last night, I sat and I watched a movie, and by the time I got into bed, it was almost 10 o'clock, and I was tired, and I didn't wanna do anything. I love the timing it, but also, you know what? Why didn't I go do that before I watched a movie? Go brush your teeth, floss your teeth, put your braces in. I shouldn't be eating at that hour anyway anymore. Use the movie as a reward to the chores that I just got done.
Eat the frog.
Right. But yeah, if I wait too long in my day, I'm tired and then I'm even crankier and then I really don't wanna. So when you say managing the calendar, I think about my daily calendar. And I know when my brain is the best and my energy level's the best, I have to use that time appropriately. I have to manage it properly.
Now, I want to just kind of change gears just for a moment because I like this perspective of let's get real, right? Let's just be real and face reality. These are great steps, but there's still going to be times where, yeah, you make great points and yes, I understand, here's the 5 steps to get better, but I still don't wanna. And that is reality, right?
Yeah.
The thing that I have in my tool belt is there are going to be days where I don't operate above the line. My image, I'm gonna have a strong person in my inner circle that can hold my image. This is a coaching philosophy, is that with clients sometimes we hold their image and allow them or give them permission to go below the line for a time and a season, very temporarily.
But don't stay there.
You can't stay there. But when you have a strong inner circle or a coach or a spouse that can hold your image and says, you know what, I got you. I'm going to hold you here. You just vent. Be who you need to be right now. And then we'll pick it up, we'll leave, and we're fresh. So that's kind of the reality that the perspective that I want to share is there's going to be days I just don't want to. And that'll be okay. But you can't stay there.
So I think the biggest tool that I have in my tool belt is to play games with myself, to time it. I love that. To give myself rewards after I do the thing I don't want to do. Just play those games, because my daughter said one time, you know, nobody ever regrets a workout, but I can really talk myself out of it. I can really waste a lot of time even considering to rearrange my schedule. I do regret it when I don't do it, but I never regret it when I do.
Right.
Just get it done.
Just do the next right thing. I think sometimes we get intimidated looking at the forest because we have all these things we need to do.
Yes.
I'm learning as I run and I'm preparing for a marathon. There's times where I'll just look down at my feet and I'll just one step in front of the other, and before long I'll get to the finish line.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in our day we have to do the same thing. Don't look at the enormity of the trees. Tree by tree by tree, and we'll end up getting through it. Small adjustments. I'm about ready to embark on a mastermind for Jeff Olson's Slide Edge. I've read it before, read it a couple times, but in the book it talks about how the Apollo rocket that made it to the moon and back was only on course 3% of the time. It had to constantly make course corrections to get to the moon and, more importantly, back.
Okay, so if I stand back and look at a big picture, it did go from Earth to the moon. So it was on target. But when you look in detail, it was constantly going left and right. Mm-hmm. But if we can step back in our own life, we're on target.
As long as we're moving forward.
Right.
It's easier, hey, Betty, it's easier to steer a moving object. The one thing that you can't steer, back when I was learning how to drive, there was no such thing as power steering. In fact, it kind of took all your power to steer it.
Yes.
But so if it was still and you tried to turn the steering wheel, you couldn't do it. But something unique happened when you started moving the vehicle. It got easier to steer. And so I say that to say there's going to be days where, you know what, just do the next right thing. And give yourself grace. This isn't something we're going to figure out in one day. It may take years. It may take decades. It may take our whole life. But are you moving forward?
So one more game that you can add to your tool belt. Just do it for 5 minutes. Or maybe it's a 2-minute task. Do it for 50 seconds.
Yeah.
Just start. And it's amazing how far you'll go once you do just start.
That's great that you say that, because I do, when I started working out, I always gave myself a 5-minute compromise. Mm-hmm. So I would go down to the fitness room, I'd get into my shorts, I'd get into my t-shirt, put my shoes on. And if after 5 minutes I'm on the treadmill, I don't want to continue, I give myself permission to say, I'm done.
I did it for 5 minutes, I'm done.
You know how many times I quit?
None.
Never. Never. And that's not me.
Isn't that the truth, though? When I don't want to do something, the worst part of it is getting started. Once, like last night, I took down old decorations and I put up spring decorations, and I'm just gonna do it for 5 minutes, and I finished it.
Yep.
Because now I'm in my zone, and it's getting started. That's the hardest.
Maybe that's the best advice that we can take, but also to share, is just do it. Just start it. And you're right. That is the hardest part. And if you just get started, you're going to amaze yourself how productive you can be.
Right.
Even the jobs you hate. So, yeah.
And not only how productive you can be, but how fun it is, and also how time flies. And suddenly you look at the clock and go, wow, I've been working on this project for 2 hours, and I was going to just give myself 5 minutes. It's the starting point that's the hardest, and then we get in our flow.
Unconsciously, as you were just saying that, I just thought about, before we taped this, I was vacuuming our steps and some places upstairs, because we have 2 golden retrievers that are fur monsters, right? I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I don't know why I did it. I just saw all the stuff. I didn't want to, but I knew I had to. Yeah. Do what you know you need to do. Just start it, and before long, I was doing the whole house.
Yay!
So yeah, right.
What a great activity.
This has been therapeutic for me to talk about this. So thank you again for that question, because now I'm reminded of some of the things that I know I should do, even when I don't want to.
Like have a salad for dinner.
Yes.
I don't want to.
But I have to.
All right. Well, Betty, thank you so much for sending in that question. And I welcome all questions from everybody. So whether you think it's hard or easy, or it's been talked about before, or you need it talked about again, please send them in. I enjoy, like you said, it's been therapeutic for us. I enjoy figuring out, what can we do?
Yeah.
How does this work in our minds?
Keep the questions coming. We'll do our best to answer them.
Hopefully we've challenged you to think differently today. Hopefully we've given you some little nuggets that you just didn't think about, or you didn't have in your toolbox, and now you do. And now you can go conquer something that you just don't want to do.
Yeah, I think sometimes we just want to be validated that it's okay that I say those things or feel that way, and there's validation there, because we all struggle with it.
Absolutely.
Just do the best we can. Thank you so much. Keep the questions coming.
Yes. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.